Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Did you know there was this many video games? Welcome everyone to March 1982, where we last checked out the latest issue, the March issue of Softline magazine. Let's press forward and see our next game. We're next going to the Color Computer, and this is Space Shuttle. The latest on the Coco. Let's check out Space Shuttle, starting with no artwork, just a few screenshots. So we're going to pop in and play by Aardvark Software Services. This one's on Basic. Now, Space Shuttle is another lunar lander variant, very similar to that. The cool draw to this one is it's two-player, and that would be pretty much the only thing it has going for it. While there's no one here joining me on the show, I'm going to go ahead and do two players and show you what it's like. So here we go. This is Space Shuttle. You use both the Z and slash key to control the jets for each fighter, or each jet on the side. Oh wait, how do I turn them off? Stop firing retro rockets. If you look on either side, player 1 and player 2 has the fuel displayed, and whenever you... It is only allowing me to push the button for fuel, but then I can't turn the fuel off. But the biggest draw is when you play with two people, you're both trying to be the first person that will not crash. Because once you crash, then the other person gets a point. And they display that at the top of the screen. Oh, it is space to disable it? Okay, let's see. Does it disable both? Oh, it does. Okay, so that means, I guess if you're playing with a friend, you're both going to be mashing on the space bar. Yeah, it does. Okay, so it is allowing you to stop the thrusters. Thanks, L. Curtis B. But it still would be an interesting game to play with two different people because you have to monitor your fuel, not burn up everything, but also make sure you don't crash before the other person and then gives them the point. Because every time that you blow up, they get a point. When you blow up, you can see I'm going way off from the top, but also I'm controlling two people at once. So this would be a fun hot seat game to play with two people. Yes, and we got some background. The volcano spew is nice. Some ambiance. But you essentially just work on when you want to thrust and letting off the thrust to see if you can get a good landing. I don't even know if I can. But you'll eventually use up all the fuel trying to use your thrusters to prevent a crash. So it's a kind of a cool way to play with a friend on, do you fire the retro rockets or do you hold off and see if the other one's going to crash first, of how you can stay up in the air. So there you go, a very quaint, simple game, but fun for two players. I'd say of all the games we've seen up to this point, it's still around the bad range, just not something that's like incredibly enjoyable, because it only is allowing one button for the thrusting. So I'll still say 2 stars, the best of the bad for Space Shuttle. And let's see what our next game is. From the Coco to just the TRS-80, this is Stake Your Claim. Stake Your Claim is another one we don't have the box for, just a few screenshots. Let's pop in and play Stake Your Claim. This is by Rick Pierce, published by Softside Magazine, the beginning of March 1982. So for this one, we need to load it up in Basic again. Goes a little bit differently than it does on the Coco. Yeah, I'm sure it was a lot easier with one player. Controlling 2 thrusters is a little difficult. All right, so we want to run... I think that's the command for Stake Your Claim. Let's find out. We're in. Oh, plug in the aux cable. Okay, I better do that. Hold on. All right, the aux cable's in. We got sound. Lay it on me. There you go. For a game that I've never heard of before, the concept's very simple. Not sure if it was based on an actual board game by this name. Very nice. Instructions, yes. 1 player, no. Oh, the name for the player. They're now going to be called N. And player 2 will be called Y. You can type in the name for player 1 or player 2. So there you go. How many points do they have? N plays. Now this one's actually using the cursors on the keyboard. You can't make claim in the center square, but you just do enter to claim, and then Y is going to be playing as the plus, and you cannot claim an opponent's next to an opponent's piece. So very simple board game. I was actually expecting this to be like Claim Jumpers that we played on the Bally Astrocade, but no, very different one. And you just move back and forth, claiming different spaces, but you can't claim a space next to an opponent's space. And it looks like diagonal works just fine. We'll just do this one here. Make your way around the board, claiming different places, and whoever has claimed the most is the winner at the end of the game. So let's do this one over here. This means I could do the diagonal one to the left. And there you go, just going back and forth, claiming different places until you've made the most. And so you can play with a computer as well, but I'm not making a 2-player just so the computer doesn't destroy me. So there you go, there's Stake Your Claim. I'd say for the games we played at this point, it's not as bare bones as the other ones, but still kind of too simple of an affair. It's something you could play on paper, even. So I'd still say 2 stars for Stake Your Claim. Still a bad game. Well, there's so much better you can play on the computer. And let's see our next game. We're now on the Apple II, and this is Trick Shot. Let's take a look at Trick Shot, starting with the box. Yes, another pool game by IDSI for the Apple II. This is the advertisement flyer that I found for it. It's going to be covered in Soft Talk magazine in January 1982. We must have missed it. The Great Trick Shot Tournament. And we also have the 5 1/4 floppy disk. I'm also going to be showing screenshots. This is what the game looks like. It's the top-down pool game that we've seen quite a bit on the Atari home computer and just a handful on the Apple. So this one's a newer one, but sadly, this is a game that doesn't run correctly. I wasn't able to get this one to play, so I'm not sure what the physics would be like for the game. But you can see from the screenshots, it's the usual view for playing pool. How well it runs, though, I'd love to know. The only copy of the game I have or found was on the Was a Day collection, and that one does not run. It just boots up. So with no manual, and the other versions were just if you want to play the game or some sample shots. This is what happens whenever you try to play by IDSI. Nice, Chiptune. I just saw you give it 2.5 stars. That's very generous. So this is what the game does. All it does is go to this screen. It doesn't boot past this. I've even tried other boot commands and other emulators. The game will not run. I haven't even seen any video footage of Trick Shot running on the Apple II. So maybe it doesn't even run at all. There's no way to know. If you can get Trick Shot to run on the Apple II, please send me a line. In the meantime, we're calling this one broken. 1 star for Trick Shot. Who knows what the physics was like? And with that, let's press forward and see our next game. We're next on the Commodore VIC-20. We're going to Europe, and this one is a puzzle pack of several different puzzle games. We'll start with the first one. This is Digits. Digits has no artwork except the box for puzzle pack, which is part of the other ones that will be included. This one is also by Sumlock. There we go. We also have another one called Digits. That was by Kevin Potts, I believe before Sumlock picked it up and put it in the pack. But here we go. From Q Enterprises, Sumlock Electronic Services. This is the beginning of March 1982. So this one is going to be keyboard controlled only. This is one of those puzzle games that you would have seen in 1982. Move from number to number using the keys F1 to F7. Question marks your mystery values. Plan your path to get the highest score. You must not cross your own trail. You can have 25 goes and then play again. So you're pretty much just trying to move across a board gathering up points. So there's all the numbers. Make your way around and gather the most points as you can. So if we say, like, oh my gosh, they're using the function keys to move around. So instead of using N, S, E, and W for north, south, east, and west, it's function to move north, and then again to move north, and then, oh man, yeah, it's just very bizarre controls. But all you're doing is moving around, picking up values until you can't cross another path. It's very, very simple. I would say for a puzzle game, it hardly even constitutes a puzzle game. It's more of just monotony. It's a time waster is what it is. So that's Digits. I'd say it's not broken, but yeah, we're saying 1.5 stars for Digits. It's pretty bad. Continuing on with the other games from Puzzle Pack. This is Graphic Twister. Same one we saw. It is by Lock Electronic Services, the beginning of March 1982. In England, which at this point, England is already getting packs of games. So when you bought a game, to make sure you get the most for your money, you would buy one game and it have several games on it. It's really popular in Europe. This is the beginning of all that. So here we go, Graphic Twister. We rearrange the bottom square to look like the top display. Really simple, easy to do. Let's just start with the easy level. And you can see they build a graphic at the top of the screen. And then what we do is spacebar. It now is showing different pictures. And now we take this one on the far left and we just flip it around. So if I like hit F1 to flip it the other direction and then hit F3, matches it up, looks good. And then we got it right. Then we move to the next one. That's all it is. So this is what Graphic Twister is. Has nothing to do with Twister. Very, very boring, but it's a usual puzzle game you'd see for the time. I still say it is just terrible. 1.5 stars for Graphic Twister. And the next game on the puzzle pack is Knight's Move. Let's pop it and play Knight's Move by Lock Electronic Services. So even though they were getting a pack of games, most of the games that came in the pack were terrible. And here's one of the first examples. Your aim is to fill all the squares at the chessboard starting at the marked corner using the Knight's Move. You have 1 or 2 to move, 1 or 2 to move right, 3 or 4 to move left. Man, I'm amazed at how surprised I am with controls at this point. So there you go. It explains at the top of the screen what you do, but you essentially want to say, like, if I want to move to the bottom right, I'm doing 2, and let's keep going across this way, and then go back to the other direction with 4, and go back the other way, and you're just trying to get all the things filled up on the board before the puzzle's done. But that's it. That's Knight's Move. You're playing as a knight, moving around the board. That's all it is. All right, so we'll say of all the games, they still 1.5 stars for Knight's Move. It's bad, very bad. And our next game on the puzzle pack, this is Orbits for Puzzle Pack in Europe by Lock. After all the ones we've seen, don't have high hopes for Orbits. But here we go. Q Enterprises, what do you got? Land the craft you're sent down from the planet's surface from the spaceships orbiting above. To avoid destruction, match the craft with the correspondingly shaped areas. So you move the arrow keys. No way. Arrow keys? You kidding me? All right, so let's do low skill. Is it really you use the arrow keys, or is it something different? Okay, no, it's the cursor keys. So you just have to match this piece up while it's scrolling to the side. And yeah, I missed it. So it's just a falling puzzle piece with a falling or a scrolling bottom, and you have to match it up. So let's see if I can move it across. I don't think I can catch up to that side. No, I can't. So let's try to go back. Yeah, I didn't make it. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. That's like someone wanted to do quick. We need a puzzle game. Put it in there fast. Yeah, just terrible. I'd say this one, it's borderline broken. We'll do 1 star for this one. We're just pulling teeth at this point. All right, and then another one we had for the puzzle pack is Rainbows. And Rainbows, I don't even want to boot into it. If you look over on the left side, the video snapshot is you're just matching a pattern where you complete the pattern, B, F, J, and if you type in the correct pattern, then it builds a rainbow over the top. And if you mess up, then it just ends the game. So this one, again, I'd say, of all the games we've seen to this point, is a terrible puzzle game. We'll say 1.5 stars. No, 1. 1 star for Rainbows. Yes, the color is blinding you. And finally, the last game of the puzzle pack in Europe. This is Slide Puzzle. What you see over on the left side is what it is. It is a slide puzzle. The bare bones slide puzzle. I'm going to say, of all the games we've seen up to this point, in the puzzle pack, it's still 1.5 stars. If you want to play a slide puzzle, I guess you get some more mileage out of it. But it is a puzzle pack of multiple games. So you get multiple terrible bad games by Lock. And with that, let's press forward and see our next game. We're next back on the Apple II. This is Computer Baseball Strategy. And this one, if you take a look at the box, very similar concept to what we saw earlier by SSI. It is a complete strategy baseball game. No action on this one at all. But you can see on the top left, Sports Illustrated, just like we saw on the Atari with Knockout. So our second Sports Illustrated game we've ever seen. This one's by Avalon Hill. And if you flip it over in the back, it actually shows some graphic, but you won't be in control of it. For this game, you are making all the decisions like a manager, and then the game plays out. Yeah, I wonder what happened in England when they got the puzzle pack and then they realized all these games are terrible. They're terrible puzzle games. Maybe for Europe. We've seen a very sprinkling of excellent games on European home computers. I'd say some of the best, though, we saw were on the ZX81. All right, so there you go. The back of the box is explaining how the game works. This is where you're going to be making decisions for your players and stats for your team, and then the game plays out depending on what decisions you make. They have the example of the cassette at the top, and then if we... Oh, they have another example of the cassette. This one's also available for Atari, the PET, the TRS-80, which microcomputer does that with a lot of their games. No manual for this one. We're not going to need it because it's already a very, very difficult game. So here we go. This is March 5th, 1982. Computer Baseball Strategy. The name says it all. If you're in the store and you're about to buy Computer Baseball Strategy expecting actual action baseball, then you're dead wrong. Especially, this one's going back to the roots of Avalon Hill. This first was a board game that you could play, that Avalon Hill made. So it's a computer representation of that. I'm going to speed this up, crank up the fast forward. There we go. All right, so what park size? We'll do small park size. And then we begin with the stats. This game is all text. Until you get to deciding to begin the game will play out with a few graphics, very minimal, but you determine if you made the best choices. So you can see we're picking the starters for pitcher. Let's go for 42. We don't even have names. It's all stats. It's not even numbers. And then number 2, we'll do that one. Number 3 is the only choice we have. Number 4, and notice we didn't even pick teams. We're just picking numbers of stats. No Major League Baseball Association. There's nothing that is based on North American baseball. It's just numbers. So if you're huge in hardcore statistics and want to see how well you can decide managing a baseball team with just looking at numbers and menus, then have I got the game for you. And very similar to the SSI game, this one is a throwback to what they would play on mainframe. One of the very first baseball simulation games was done on teletype, where you would put all the information in for a team and then put all the information in for another team, and then it would just output what was happening during the baseball game. And it would be calling all the plays and determining if someone gets a hit or someone gets a strike or so forth, depending on whatever stats the players were. And so this is a throwback to that. But in 1982, no, very similar to the SSI game, I'm going to go with, it's a subpar title, 2.5 stars. I'm going to say 2. Bad, just considering the content. If you wanted to look up reviews for the time, though, they would have said this one's helpful because it's not doing what the board game did. The board game, you were having to write out and calculate everything, but the computer's doing all the calculations. So at the time of the reviews, at least the 2 I've read, they don't really call it bad. I'm going to say bad because we played it all. We played everything. Oh, one baseball game. Oh, man. Well, we're going to see tons. This one is not the usual cup of tea for baseball, that's for sure. All right, so after Computer Baseball Strategy, let's see what our next game is. The next game is Alien, but not the Alien you would have expected. I'm really wanting an Alien game. Come on, Ridley Scott's Alien, where is it? We haven't seen it yet. But we're still in the time where video games are not being licensed out for properties yet. It's a kind of a win-win situation, because whenever you don't have the licensed property, you get a lot of unique games, but sadly, when you think something's going to be Alien, it's not the Alien you think. So here we go. This is Alien for MS-DOS, or the IBM PC. We don't really have a manual. It's just a text document that explains how to load the game. So we got that part down. As far as other versions, we're going to be booting up in DOSBox Pure. Here we go. It's March 5th, 1982. This is Alien, which we don't even know who made this. But we see here, there it is, March 5th, 1982. Let's play some Alien. We don't even know who it's by. Welcome to Adventure. This is a type of game that has its roots in fantasy role-playing, D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, but the computer version are really quite different. In this game, you'll be assuming the role of characters faced with a series of situations requiring decisions and quick, intelligent reactions. The computer gives you descriptions of various places, objects, and events. You react to the stimulus and tell the computer what you want to do. So it gives you the commands north, south, east, and west. Other commands like help, quit, shoot, blast, grab. I never think of, we've heard blast as a command. The computer will understand many words, so don't hesitate to tell it what you want to do in 2-word commands. Press spacebar to continue. Okay, so luxury liner Adonis suffered a fusion torch overload and exploded while she was in passage to Procyon 2. One life pod reportedly escaped the disaster by a few seconds. The life pod and its occupant are known as being unknown locations. We must assume there are no survivors. Oh, well, maybe they are basing this on Alien, because luxury spacecraft kind of sounds like the Nostromo from Ridley Scott's Alien, maybe. A board of inquiry has been informed they will investigate the circumstances surrounding the tragedy. You are the last survivor of the late starship Adonis, and you better find shelter, means of protecting yourself. Met station is around the plane, and you find perhaps... Okay, have fun, buddy. Let's go north. Wait, north. North. What? Did the game just crash already? No way. It's it. The game already has a syntax error, and we've already lost. There you go. The fastest game we've ever finished because it just didn't work. So we're going to give that one a fat half-star rating. It is totally broken. If it even runs, we wouldn't even know who did it. Man, we are so deep in video games. We're playing games. We don't even know who made the games. Yes. Thanks, L. Curtis B. If it wasn't basic, maybe we could hack it, right? All right, so with that, let's press forward and see our next game. We're back on the Apple II. This is Money Munchers. What is Money Munchers? We'll find out. Starting with the front, this is only an advertising flyer. Beware the Money Munchers. This is by Bob Bishop. Way to go, Bob. From Datamost. Cost $30 at the time. Become a millionaire. All it takes is courage and strong survival instinct. You race through levels of mazes, grabbing the money that'll make you rich. Of course, you have some minor competition for all that wealth. The money-eating Money Munchers, plus their nasty little pet guardians who want to munch you. For $1 million of maze fun, thousands of random mazes come to battle the Money Munchers. This artwork for the advertising flyer is way too good. Datamost must have hired someone that did something more impressive for the time. All other advertisements for computers really aren't up to snuff with consoles, so this is actually pretty good. I mean, it looks like, what is that, oil they did for the front? Very detailed. Not really the real disc, couldn't get it, but we do have a screenshot. Here you go. Time to pop it and play Money Munchers. It is March 7th, 1982. Money Munchers, which I believe we saw in an ad for a magazine. I'm going to go ahead and give us a little burst of speed. Oh my gosh. What in the world? Is this a joke? Money Munchers begins with this screen. Is this the real screen or is this a cracked screen? Okay, make it stop. Make it stop. Scary. Some ant in the middle of the build yelling at us. Okay, there you go. Bob Bishop made us Money Munchers on Datamost. All right, let's go. We're in the money. Haven't heard that one before. And it works. It's a Pac-Man style clone. Looks like I am on the far right top of the screen, just running around grabbing bills, and it actually says my score in dollar values, which is kind of nice. But I have other beings, the Money Munchers, that are grabbing money. So this is kind of interesting that it's the Pac-Man style game, but the power pellets... Oh wait, no, I'm not going to go that way. The power pellets are replaced by money, and you want to be able to find the best path to pick up as much money as you can before the Money Munchers grab it all. But I didn't see a power-up, and I still don't see a power-up around. Oh, this doesn't look good. It looks like they might get it all. Can I squeeze through here? Yes, looks like they don't have super crazy intelligence. And like the advertisement said, they should change the maze up, right? Whoa, psychedelic. They do. They make a different maze every time. Very simple maze, but no power-ups. So the draw is just grabbing all the money as fast as you can. I don't know if that's really a good trope. Maybe for 1982, because the maze craze is still going on. Pac-Man's still popular. So I could see it being a fun time, especially if the maze is changing every moment. But it's still, considering the other games we've seen up to this point and other Pac-Man style games, it's really not doing anything new or impressive. Nope, guess I'm not going that way. He scares me off. We'll just sneak up behind him to see if I can take these. Nope. It does kind of look like that. Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, but I know we will. Yeah, and we're not killing anybody. We do not have any power-ups. Not that I can see. Every bit of money is about the same, and it's just, can you get more money or get as much money as you can before they end up picking it all up? Okay, let's see if we can grab the last one, finish up the level. And what does it look like the character I'm playing is crawling around? So the advertisement had this as a person going against the Money Munchers, but now it looks like I am an insect myself. Alright, so there you go. There's Money Munchers for the Apple II. I'd say it's still enjoyable for the time, around the average game we've seen up to this point. Maze games are pretty good, but we've seen maze games that offer a lot more that we were rating higher. I could even go 2.5 stars, but it does play easy enough. Yeah, so it's still around everything we've seen up to this point. That's it. Yes, going in deep with the lore of the extremely rare video games. That's it. The cobra on the front is why we're crawling around. I love it. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit different, but I'll still say around the average range for games we've seen up to this point. I could go slightly higher, but no, I'll do 3. 3 stars. It's very average for all the games we've seen up to this point. For computer games. All right, and let's press forward and see our next game. We're now on the Atari home computer. This is Outer Space Attack. Outer Space Attack has no box, just a few screenshots. We're going to pop in and play Outer Space Attack. It's March 10th, 1982. Another one by Softside Magazine by Sheldon. Way to go, Sheldon. I think he's going to be on here, too. No, there's no mushrooms yet. The real mushrooms show up in 1985 with Super Mario Brothers. That's the real psychedelic mushrooms. Yes, Sheldon Lehman. Am I in already? I am. I didn't push anything. I didn't push start, but the joystick's in. My Atari VCS joystick works. The big red button fires. I'm moving left and right. I'm playing a Space Invaders variant for the Atari home computer. At this point, we've already played about 20 to 30 Space Invader variants for Atari 800 alone. And so this one, I would say, it's a little rough. This one feels like I'm playing something that someone made in their basement just for fun. And it shows, so it works. It would be very quaint to play in 1982. Yeah, and I wouldn't call it bad, because it still runs and does what it's supposed to for Space Invaders. But it's kind of low in the... How much enjoyment are you going to get out of just a bare bones, no other variants of Space Invaders? There we go, and repeat ad nauseum. That's true, yes, tile-based as well. So I'll still say of all the games we've seen up to this point, 2.5 stars. It's not bad. It's borderline. If I could rate a more generic rating, I'd say like 2.25 if I could. But we'll say 2.5 stars for Outer Space Attack. And with that, let's see what our next game is. We're back on the Microsoft DOS, or PC DOS. This is Astro-Dodge. Astro-Dodge really doesn't have a box. This one is a reconstructed fan art box. All we have is screenshots for this one. So this one is going to be played in DOS box. Here we go. Let's check out Astro-Dodge. And nice, this one they mapped some other keys with it, but you'll see this is the IBM version by Dave Gangola. Way to go, Dave. This one has rotate left and right, F9, F10. Insert is thrust. Delete is fire. Space is hyperspace. Okay, that makes sense. But to start the game, you push numlock? What? Then scroll lock is to exit the game. Wow. I think this one might have the most obscure controls that I've ever seen. And we've seen a lot of games. And then there's the points we get. So how do we start this? Numlock? What? All right. So let's play... Oh, Astro-Dodge is Asteroids. A very well done version of Asteroids. Able to have a lot of the asteroids put on screen, but they're already going so fast. And game over came really quick. I don't know what they're doing with the resolution, too. They're giving the illusion like it's a vertically oriented screen in the arcades, but there's also no sound. And I wouldn't expect it too much on the IBM as far as sound goes, but I will attest, though, even the controls are weird and it's keyboard only, it's really good. The frame rate's up there. The way that you control the ship and move around is done very well. Okay, now I'm going to actually get in and play Asteroids. Like, now that I'm just figuring out what the game feels like and the controls, it still is pretty good. That's a good point. I think programmers did realize when you're programming for the computer, you have a lot more keys on the keyboard to go for. So let's make them all work. As many as you can. At least they definitely do that when you play a strategy game where you need extra commands. But I mean, we're playing Asteroids. You don't need... The IBM PC had perfectly fine cursor keys that you could use. But yeah, this plays really good. There's a few other Asteroid variants we checked out. One was on the Exidy Sorcerer. That was very well done for the time. This one's up there with those games. That even though it's not well known, it's done fairly well. And I'd say by the speed we're running, it's got to be machine code. This doesn't feel like it's basic or a programming language. Yeah, it looks like asteroids, detailed asteroids. So it doesn't have the raster, oh, not raster, it's using raster, but it's not using the vector graphics, obviously, of the original Asteroids. But I'd still say of all the games we've seen up to this point, this Asteroids clone's fairly good. I'm going to say 3.5 stars, above average for the typical game, and I would be able to spend a long time playing this one. Excellent. All right, so after Astro-Dodge, where are we going now? Oh, yeah, here we go. Another big release on the Apple II. This is Deadline, the latest Infocom adventure. The Infocom adventure, where the big boys play. Let's take a look at the box for Deadline. A locked door, a dead man, and 12 hours to solve the murder. The cream of the crop as far as interactive fiction goes. When you take on Deadline, you're not just pitting yourself against 12-hour time limit to solve one of the cleverest, most baffling cases in the detective genre. You're entering a totally original concept in interactive adventure that literally puts the case in your hands. Working from an actual dossier on the crime and piecing together a myriad of clues along the trail, you face a challenge so sophisticated that your suspects possess independent flesh and blood personalities. So the time has arrived for you to investigate Deadline, the first from Analogic Mystery Series of Infocom. They have all the stuff that comes in the box there, which we don't have everything, but you can see they give you a case file, a documentary evidence, inspections case book, and then a whole bunch of things to make you feel like you're a detective. Lots of feelies inside the box. And you can see other games they have also with Zork, The Witness, Starcross Suspended, Planetfall. I don't think we've seen those yet. We've only seen Zork and Deadline, but Infocom is about to take off. Let's take a look at the other artwork we have for Deadline. Here's the advertising flyer, still showing off everything you get in the box. 12 hours to find the murderer. One false move and he kills again. Infocom, of course, is the one that did Zork, that has one of the most impressive text parsers thus far. This one uses a different one than Zork does. There's our 5 1/4 floppy disk on the Apple II, and then the screenshots are going to be what you expect. It's text-based only. Here's the manual for Deadline. They even have reviews of what people say for Deadline. Take their words for it. Very well written and documented, Al says in Toronto, Canada. And most of these look like they're fake anyway. Well, it says the New York Times, an amazing feat of programming. And then we also have Time Magazine says Deadline is part of the latest craze in home computing, programmed fiction. Thanks, Time Magazine. And then Helen says, I may burn it. From Fountain Valley, California. Well, forget you, Helen. We didn't ask you. All right, so we do get the documentary evidence. FYI, personal and private. This is for Marshall Robner, which I believe is the murder. There you go. The date is 7/8/82. Which I know this was available for the summer of 82. All right, so official memo. This manual breaks down a lot of stuff that you're going to need to solve the game. It is not only timed, it's also in-depth, very well written, like we saw in the reviews, but it has elements to it that really make you feel more like you're experiencing a murder mystery as a detective, and you get to make the decisions. You may have played the choose your own adventure games where you play as a detective and make decisions that way, but this one is far more robust. This is a really good showing of it's the text-only adventure game, but done to a scale that blows up what you can do on the computer. Kind of similar to Zork, but I'd say even on a bigger scale, because this is making you as the detective. Okay, so this is what's happened July 8th, 1982. So we're playing a modern-day investigator. And then we also have an example of the interview with Mrs. Robner. How did you come to find Mr. Robner? Because the wife obviously would be the first person. You got to be the one that killed your husband, right? Did your husband ever talk of suicide? He did, actually, though I never took it seriously. He would talk about how everything would be easier if he were dead. But when he would start talking again about how he was going to have to keep the business going, I'm stunned, really. So you can already see the tone of the game is meant to be more mature. Obviously, we don't want a bunch of kids reading about suicide, but the game is written and supposed to be played by adults. Not like it's adults only, but it has pretty heavy content, and it's a heavier read too. We also have the interview with Mrs. Dunbar, Mr. Baxter, and you can use all this to help you go in the game with an agenda of what you want to do next. Interview with Mr. Rourke, Mrs. Rourke, and we also have the lab report. You can see the different things that they picked up in the lab, like the porcelain teacup. They found fingerprints and foreign substances on it. And it looks like it belonged to the deceased Mrs. Dunbar. And then we also have an official memo that was for the detective first class. All this you get in the box that you can peruse and become the detective. And then we go past the lore and role-playing side, and then we have the instruction manual for Deadline. Yeah, this is the part that made the best about these games is when you actually can hold things in your hand, like the coin or a felt map. It really adds to it. All right, so this is the story. The wealthy industrialist Mr. Marshall Robner locked himself in the upstairs library of his New England colonial estate one night and committed suicide by taking a lethal overdose of antidepressants. Or did he? You are the chief of detectives. It's been asked by Robner's attorney to make a thorough investigation of the case, simply to squash the suspicions which are inevitable. When a moneyed man dies a sudden and unnatural death, the medical examiner found nothing unusual, and interviews with family members and family associates are consistent with the idea that Robner committed suicide. Everything fits neatly, maybe too neatly. You smell foul play, and you have 12 hours to crack the case. If you arrest someone, you better have 3 traditional ingredients to an ironclad case for the prosecution. The accused must have had a motive, a method, and ample opportunity to commit the crime. There are many possible endings to this case, and the one you reach is determined by your actions and by your deductions you draw from the evidence you gather. That's right, this game has multiple endings. But one ending fits the facts better than the other, and you will know it when you reach it. As in all Infocom interactive fiction, Deadline understands a very large vocabulary, and I think they don't even have the whole vocabulary because it's that large. They might show a lot here, though. So this breaks down an overview of how this works, and then the manual's pretty extensive because they want you to get as much as you can out of the game you're going to play. So the overview of what an interactive fiction is. What is it? We'll breeze by that part. And then we also have tips how to play the game. Like you can say, look at the text parser for this. On the right side, you can say, give the soggy newspaper to the night watchman. It will understand that in a world where we're still playing 2-word text parser games. This is the best of the best. You don't need this booklet to enjoy and solve the story, but it will be helpful to some people, especially when you get frustrated. But one thing that's cool about Deadline is, of most of the text adventure games that are going for the extremely difficult, Deadline and their puzzles are very grounded and rooted in, you can understand and figure them out. So they actually take an intellectual approach rather than a condemning you for not typing the right thing. If you're smart enough, you can figure this out. So how do you communicate with Deadline? It breaks down the text parser, gives you some examples on the right side. Lots of help for playing this game, similar to how they did with Zork. And they also are giving examples of moving around because the world's a little bit bigger than most text adventure games. And starting and stopping. When you start the story, we want to know how to save the game. Yeah, so this breaks down how to save and restore where you left off. You're going to need that because it's a pretty long title. And also, if you want to see different endings to save at a certain point, try things out. Maybe you quit somebody, blame them for a certain motive, and then see how it pans out, and then go back to your save. So we have a quick reference guide, To start the story, boot up, there's also a reference card that's separate. I don't know if we have the reference card, but you did that with a lot of games that have had commands. So instead of having to flip through the manual, they just had a reference card with all the basics in one place, which was really nice. Yeah, right? Why did they license? Well, I'm kind of glad they didn't license this to Columbo or one of the famous detectives at the time. Okay, we would have an appendix for important commands that you can use. So this is, I don't know if this is technically the reference card, but it does give you a lot of help for things to type in and try. And then recognize verbs, you can see over here on the right side. And then we have complaints. Some mystifying sentences will call deadline to complain in one way or another. After making the complaint, deadline will ignore the rest of the input line. Gunshot may also cause deadline to ignore the rest of the sentences you typed, since the event may have changed your situation drastically. So it breaks down things that may not go the way you expected and then how to resolve those. So that's nice. It's almost like troubleshooting example. And then they also have how to draw maps. Got to draw maps in 1982. You're going to be going around a lot. They also talk about dropping things to help you remember where things are located. And then Infocom is one of the best for interactive fiction, so you can see how helpful they are. They want you to know if you have problems with this or this game has issues, tell us. We want to fix it. We want to be there and give you refunds and so forth. Very, very helpful. And I think that's it. Oh, you get the other feelies too. Nice. So this one also came in the box. Marshall Robner, big mansion by the lake, cause of death, drug overdose. You can see it looks like it'd be a detective's handwriting. Yes, got to beat the deadline. And then we also have, this is Warren Coates, which doesn't say who he is. Talking to the chief. Oh, okay, so he's talking about this case that we're about to go on. And then we also have the corpus delicti, which breaks down the coroner's examination of the body that died. And then we also have, yeah, the medical examiner's notes. Nice. And we even have a photograph of the place where he died, which has clues on the photograph. And then we have physical evidence, which is the tablets found near the body of the drugs. And I think this is the back of the box, right? Yeah, that's the back. There you go. So much stuff involved with Deadline. Here we go. It's time to play some Deadline. It's March 11th, 1982. If you were one of the lucky ones to get the early release of Deadline or pre-ordered Deadline when it came out, because it was already being heavily advertised, and this is it. An interlogic mystery. So South Lawn, we're on the wide lawn just north of the entrance to the Robner estate. Directly north of the house is a pebbled path of the Robner's house, flanked to the northeast and northwest by a vast expanse of well-kept lawn. Beyond the house can be seen the lakefront. So when I already look at the story, it's got to be the wife that killed him. I mean, they obviously have a lot of money. That's got to be what's going on, right? All right, so let's go north. Make our way around. The front path. You're standing on the Robner's front door, which is closed. You can walk around the house from here to the east and west. To the south is a rolling lawn, which leads to the entrance of the estate. Open the door. Let's go in. Front door's now open, and we got to go north to move through the door. Whoa, Mrs. Robner appears, walking down a hallway, stretching out to the north. Hello, she says. I am Mrs. Robner, the killer. Please come in. I'm afraid I really can't be much help to you. This is surely all a terrible waste of time, and not a little upsetting. Having all these police marching around your house, this has been a very trying time, as I suppose you can understand. As I said to Mr. Coates and that other detective, you may look around here, but you must be out by 8 o'clock at the latest. Oh, I almost forgot. Mr. Coates will be reading my husband's will at noon in the living room. You may attend if you wish. I'm going to make myself some breakfast now. I'll be in the house all day if you need anything. I'll do what I can to help. Good day. Now, I want to tell you that this game also employs time in the top right corner, and it's not a real-time game. Like right now, the time is not going until I make commands. But every time you do a command, it does proceed forward, and there's things that are happening around the house that you can go see, like reading the will out loud, which is an amazing touch for a game that makes you feel like you're not just acting out, moving from room to room, picking up an object and solving a puzzle. It's letting you know you're not playing Colossal Cave. A lot of the other text adventure games make us feel like we're still playing a Colossal Cave game. Move here, pick up this, go here. This one makes it feel like you are in a video game, but it's all text based. It gives you a great atmosphere. Good day. Well, she didn't want to talk to us, so she obviously killed her husband. This is the foyer of the Robner house. It's a beautifully appointed with fine crystal chandelier on the ceiling, marble floors, large marble top table. The front door to the south is closed. To the north, the foyer continues. Mrs. Robner heads off to the north. All right, let's follow her. To the north of the foyer. This is the inside hallway north of the foyer. To the north is another hallway. To the west is an open doorway, and to the east is the foot of a staircase going up to the second floor. Mrs. Robner heads off to the north. Yeah, it isn't quite real time, but it gives the illusion that it's real time, which is still very impressive. All right, so let's go north, following her again. You're at the corner of two halls, one a short hallway to the east with no outlets, the other a longer hall leading toward the front door to the south. To the north and west are swinging double doors, the former leading to the kitchen and the latter to the dining room. Mrs. Robner heads off to the north. All right, we'll stop following her now. Let's go east. There's only a short blind corridor here. Good. Oh, I don't see any stairs here. Uh-oh, did I take a wrong turn? Go north, east. Okay, we'll go east again. Okay, go north. Go back into the kitchen. Wait, this is the Robner's kitchen. It's quite large and has full complement of appliances and labor-saving devices, mandatory in this sort of house. In one wall, a beautiful shelf unit contains rare china on which is depicted scenes from Greek mythology. The china consists of many place settings, each with plates, teacups, saucers. They are prized family heirlooms, and there are a few like them in the world, which number cabinets around the room, which likely contain silverware, glasses, and the like. To the east is a pantry. Mrs. Robner is preparing a meal. Mrs. Rourke is here cleaning up the kitchen. Now, can we talk? Say to someone something. Say to Mrs. Rourke. Oh, Mrs. Rourke is listening. Okay. What time is it? I don't see what you're referring to. Okay, I tried to say something just random to see if it would work. Okay, we'll keep going around. Let's go east. The pantry. Now, as we work our way around the house, you can familiarize yourself with the place. At this point, you'd be making a map of the grounds and how it's played. This game has multiple endings, so every time that you want to do something or go somewhere, you first go to the crime scene, and then you do a case study of where it is and what's happening. Okay, so let's go back south. West. And west again. North. East. Pantry east. Okay, west. West. South. Corner, and let's go northeast. Okay, north. South. South. North of foyer. And now let's go northeast. Okay, south again. South again. East. West. Look. The foyer of the I want to go to the south. Well, to the north. North of foyer. Now look around. Hallway. West is an open doorway. East is the foot of the staircase. So let's go east. There we go. Bottom of the stairs. You're at the foot of the stairs. The second floor open archways lead to hallways to the west and to the south. So climb stairs. You're in the middle of a flight of stairs between the first and second floors. You notice that the stairs do indeed make quite a noise when stepped upon. As a detective, you must remember this. All right, so after we climb the stairs, now let's go up. We're at the top of the staircase. From the ground floor to the north and south are hallways which turn again to the east. A corridor, the length of the house, runs toward the west. Let's go up again. Oh, we can't go up anymore. All right, so let's do west. You're standing somewhat west of the top of the staircase. There are doors on either side, north and south of the hallway, which continues to the west. Both doors are closed. Go to the west. This is approximately the middle of the corridor, a convenient place for a closet full of linens. The stairs to the east and the window to the west are about the same distance away. The closet to the north is open and rather shallow. Okay, so In this game, whenever you do make it to the murder scene, you eventually try to establish a motive or method for the murder beyond all reasonable doubt before you can arrest the guilty party. So if you don't have an airtight case, the jury will acquit the defendant. And it's here in the library where we want to go and establish a motive of or a method which Robner was done in. And then we set up a crime scene, and from that crime scene you make decisions by looking and examining different parts of the room and figuring out who you would say is the murderer. And then when you finally arrest someone, if you have enough information, then they're acquitted and then you win. But there's multiple ways you can win. There's also, I've heard, a glitch in this game that if you kill someone in a certain location or area and then come back to the same place where the person was, then they're still alive. And it's bizarre because in the text game you can be referring to a person that's alive or dead, and so the game will think that there's a live person and a dead person of the same person in the room, but it's a very rare glitch, but really funny because it's something you can say as look in a room, and the game has to display that and tell you what it is. So of all the games we played to this point, Deadline is up there with one of the best titles you could play. For interactive fiction or adventure games, this one's one of the best of the best. I'd say for all the games we've seen up to this point, Deadline's like up there with Zork. I'd say 4.5, maybe even 4 stars for sure. Oh, Chiptune's even going for 5. The amount of content that you have in the game to play is excellent. I'm going to say 4.5 stars. Not that it's the best of the best, because there's more coming in 82, but at this point, it's up there pretty close to what we've seen with like Zork. One of the best games you could play. Oh yeah. Oh, I got the Infocom fans. The pressure's on. Well, I know we're going to see more later with text adventure games, but I'll hold with 4.5 stars. It's still one of the best. There's a lot that's still out there. All right, so after Deadline, let's see what our next game is. Oh, our next game, going from the best adventure games, we're now going back to the Commodore VIC-20, and this is the Great Adventure Pack with 3 different adventure games. But man, oh man, after Deadline, they are not going to be able to hold a candle. Here is the Great Adventure Pack with 3 different adventure games on it. I don't know how you're supposed to sell it with a lady with a bomb on the front. All right, so let's pop in and play African Escape on the Commodore VIC-20. This is by Bruce Robinson. Victory Software Corporation, March 12th, 1982. So this one goes back to the bare bones text adventure games. I'm in a desert and see a cactus and a plane wreck. Obvious exits are west, south, north, and east. Eat cactus. Huh? Now, I say random things because I want to see if it actually picks it up. You get bonus points if the adventure game knows what I'm talking about. What about touch cactus? Oh, okay, can't even touch it? Okay, look. Plane wreck. Doesn't even say that. Okay, we'll go west then. I'm in a desert. Okay, let's go south. Wait, so am I even going in exits? Or maybe it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand S. What about south? It doesn't understand south. Does it understand go south? It does. Oh gosh. So every one of these adventure games has the bare minimum text parser. Oh god, man, after Deadline, African Escape is just terrible. So I'd say bad, maybe even less than bad. Yeah, because it's another budget. It's a adventure pack budget. So we'll say 1.5 stars for African Escape. Yikes. After Deadline, man, these are just going to be terrible. So our next one, also for the Commodore VIC-20, this is Bomb Threat, the other one part of the Great Adventure Pack by Bruce Robinson. And you never know, Bruce might have been under pressure to, quick, make 3 adventure games for our pack. This one is terrorists have left you prisoners at their hideout. They have a planted bomb that is set to go off at 4 o'clock exactly. You must get back to town and warn the bomb squad in time. So we're in a sealed room. You can see a skylight, a faucet, and a drain. Open drain. Doesn't understand that one. Turn faucet. Okay. So if the sky... Oh, okay. I gotta flood the place, right? So if I turn the faucet, let's turn it again. Turn it again. Open skylight. Can't get to the skylight. Open drain. Oh, man, oh, man. Yep, bomb threat. You're up there with the other one. We played it. That's for sure. So 1.5 stars for bomb threat. I don't know if you can call the games broken because they are adventure games. Depends on the puzzles, but you never know. All right, so the final game in the Great Adventure Pack is Hospital Adventure for the Commodore VIC-20. Let's pop it and play Hospital Adventure. It's March 12th, 1982. That's a good point. Coming up soon is Pac-Man for the Atari VCS. Would you consider Pac-Man better than these games? I think I would. I would consider it better. So this one is, your mission as a free world spy is to carry through the bungled assassination attempt of the evil dictator of Gavinch. I'm in the lobby. I see info desk. I can go to the cafeteria or the elevator. Wait, what? I can say go elevator? Is that right? I'm in the elevator. I see the numbers. Okay, so what if we just push, what, B? Whoa, cool. I push B, I go to the basement. So I'm in the boiler room. Sorry, it's very dim. I can go to the elevator. Okay, go elevator. And go to floor 4. I'm in the operating room. I see a nurse, surgical supplies, tank of nitrous oxide. Tell me what to do. Get supplies. I can't do that. You can't get surgical supplies? All right, so that would be another Hospital Adventure. Possibly might be better, but I'm still going to say of all the games we've seen, 1.5 stars. Yikes. Oh, you did! That's fantastic. Then you got to be here when we do E.T. That's too cool. All right, let's press forward and see our next game. After the exceptional deadline and the pitiful adventure pack, here is Switch for IBM PCs. This is another one we don't have a box for, just a few screenshots. Let's play Switch. This is by Wes Meyer. It's March 12th, 1982. And we're in. In this puzzle, you're faced with the problem of switching 2 different sets of pegs. Red pegs can only move to the right, green pegs can only move to the left. Oh, it's the peg puzzle game, which, again, you can play by yourself. You don't need a computer to play these games. Why are people turning them into computer games? This is the kind of thing that was on your coffee table, and you played the peg puzzle game. You selected peg only, jump from one peg to the other, space to win, blah, 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 blah. Okay, got it. Space, go. We're ready. Move. Let's do A to F. No, you can only do one peg at a time, right? Okay, so we'll do E to F, G to E, F to G, H to F. Okay, so everyone understand what I'm doing. All I'm doing is typing in where I want to move things from one to the other. I could even do I to H, and then do G to I, and then H to G, and you just move the pegs around. But good gosh, why would you want to do that when it's... The whole point of this puzzle was the physical movement of picking a peg up and moving it from someplace else. Digitally, it just doesn't have any appeal. It's not broken, but man, it's so bad. Oh, I'd say let's do 1 star. It's just right there on the edge of why? Why would you want to play it? No. All right, so that is where we put our evening. The video game playing is now on pause. If you're on the Atari 800, just hit escape. Pause it, and we'll go back to playing every single video game in order of release. That's it for today, and like I always say, everyone wins with wizardry. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.